workout for one of my trainees, one of my clients, Tony. He turned 46 today, so this is what we call the birthday one. So I did the workout and just, you know, a little bit of fun and to join his birthday workout. Happy birthday! Happy birthday kay Tony. So let us know in the comments down below. Wish him a happy birthday. If you want to try to do the workout, you can try doing it too. It's not easy. Long bit of fun.
Hello YouTube. What's up? My name is Jared and you are watching TitoFit. In this channel, we talk about health, fitness, wellness, and that kind of thing. So if you're into those topics, definitely you may want to consider subscribing to this channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about protein. How much protein you should be getting, things like that. I know a lot of you who watch this are already working out. A lot of you are already engaged in resistance training, lifting weights, things like that. A lot of active people are always confused to a certain degree about a lot of the protein guidelines. That being said, there's a lot of advice out there and a lot of it conflicts with, you know, general knowledge. In this video, I am going to give you 5 tips for protein consumption and intake for your daily living. The very first one, which is quantity. So focus on getting the right amount of protein. That is the very first thing that you should be concerned with, that you get the proper amount of protein for your daily consumption. Now, for a general guideline, do not follow the normal recommendation for sedentary individuals like what the USDA recommends, because those are old recommendations and they're not enough if you are engaged in resistance training. If you are active, if you are engaged in sport, you will definitely need enough protein. And a good guideline to start with is about 0.7 to 0.8 grams of protein for every pound that you weigh. So for example, I am 175 pounds, thereabouts, plus minus 2 or 3, depending on the day. That would mean that I would multiply my weight, my body weight, which is 175 pounds, by 0.7 and 0.8, and that would be my sweet spot or bare minimum for protein for the day. Now, don't get too concerned with getting slightly over that. That's okay, because if you are training hard enough, most of that will probably be used by the body to rebuild muscle and to recover. So don't worry too much about that. However, if you go too overboard, don't forget that that will still be a surplus of calories. Hence, you could still gain weight because too much protein can still be converted into fat. That being said, a lot of bodybuilders like to stick with 1 gram per pound, but that's likely a little too much, but 0.7 to 0.8 should just be enough. Once you have the quantity down, then you can now worry about quality if you can afford to. Okay? So a lot of people get caught up with quality. First, make sure that the quantity is met. First, that you meet that 0.7 to 0.8 grams per day. Split between a couple of meals, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't really matter as much. But what's important is that you meet them, and then you can think about, you can debate minutia. A lot of people like to focus on the little details without actually getting the main gist first. So once the quantity is down, you can now think about quality. Now, of course, if you're on a budget, you may be confined to things like chicken breasts, tuna, things like that. But you know, if you have the money, if you can afford it, you can add a lot of beef, some good cuts of steak every now and then, nice cuts of fish as well. You can have things like marlin, yung mga fish na medyo mas mahal ng konti pero masarap naman, di ba? My second tip is, if you are vegan or vegetarian, you are probably going to need even more protein than your non-vegan counterparts. Vegan or vegetarian sources of protein are inferior in their amino acid profile, and just because of that, they're not as absorbed well by the body and used to build muscle, so you probably need a lot more. But that being said, it's not that much. You're not gonna need double the amount of protein required, but let's say that your 0.7 or your 0.8 grams per pound of body weight falls at about 110 grams per day. Let's say you're a lady who weighs about, I don't know, 130 pounds or so. and that would be your number. What you would do is that you'd probably need about 10 to 15% more, and that should definitely cover your bases. Of course, you have to vary the sources from vegetables, because that being said, vegetables are incomplete in their essential amino acid profile. So what a lot of vegan and vegetarian bodybuilders or strength trained athletes do is that they combine them from different sources. You know, rice protein, pea protein, sweet potatoes, things like that, soy. Quick plug, okay? So Whale Nutrition Co., which I use for my whey protein needs, has actually come out with their own plant-based protein. It's actually pea protein. I've tried a lot of pea protein products before, and the thing is, they have this really chalky aftertaste, which I'm not a big fan of. Needless to say, I'm not vegan, but with their new product, Pod, comes in chocolate pie flavor. It's pea protein, it's vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, and non-GMO, and it comes from an excellent local company. So support local businesses when you can, when they're good. And it has about 21 grams of protein per scoop. This can definitely help you meet your protein requirements if you are vegan, or if you're like me and you're just looking to vary the sources that your protein intake comes from. So of course, I don't just want to depend on beef, eggs, chicken, fish, and whey protein powder. Now I can add this one to it too as well. My number 3 tip for you guys is that take advantage of the peri-workout protein window, or that window of time that surrounds your workout. That means like about an hour to 2 hours before your workout and about an hour to 2 hours after your workout. This time period is very good because it gives you the chance, if you take protein before your workout, it means that your body will not break down muscle as much as it would if you did not eat or if you were fasted during your training. That being said, fasted training has its uses, but definitely not the best option for strength training or high intensity interval training. If you're doing any of those, if you're engaged in that, it might be a good idea to take in some protein about an hour, even up to 2 hours before, so that your body doesn't break down muscle mass in the process. Now, that being said, after the workout, your body is actually digesting or absorbing protein at a higher rate. So actually, muscle protein synthesis, meaning that the protein that you ingest to be used towards building muscle is also higher. So when muscle protein synthesis is high, take advantage by supplementing with whey protein after your workout. If you don't like whey protein, any other protein is fine. You can just eat as well. You can eat a solid meal. The point is that you should take in protein immediately after your workout, just because muscle protein synthesis is higher, and that more of that protein will be used towards building muscle. And then about an hour, 2 hours after, you can still have another high protein meal. Now, if you do that, if you take advantage of that peri-workout window, which I do, what happens is that you can probably get about half or more of your daily requirement for protein in just that amount of time, or that window, that 4-hour window of time. And then you can worry about your other, meeting the need for the other meals. But if you take advantage of that time, that's definitely going to be good for you. My number 4 tip for you guys is that this might ruffle a few feathers. Okay, I have a lot of friends who use whey protein to bake goodies, to cook stuff, and things like that. But this is actually not ideal. Do not heat or cook whey protein. That being said, why? It denatures the protein. One, when we say it denatures the protein, it changes the texture. 2, at a molecular level, it actually alters the protein. So what happens is that you're actually getting less protein than you think you are. So this is definitely not an ideal situation, so I wouldn't recommend. Denaturing of whey protein starts at about 70 degrees Celsius, which is not that high of a temperature. That's definitely below boiling point. So I don't recommend adding your whey protein to coffee. I don't recommend baking, like baked goods with protein, because we're not sure what happens when it alters the molecular compounds. The thing is, when we alter something at a molecular state, that could come up with byproducts which could be toxic. So it's really not a good idea to cook your whey protein. So some proteins actually advertise or put a premium on their product by saying that they're not heated, or that they are low temperature processed or cold processed or cross-flow micro-filtered proteins. So these proteins actually come at a slightly higher price point because they are not heated, so that they guarantee that none of the protein is denatured. My last tip for you guys is that you make sure to include a lot of fiber from vegetables whenever you are taking any high protein diet. Now, a lot of people think that high protein diet, especially coming from meat, may have carcinogenic effects. But so far, studies have found that when there is a high fiber intake, it seems to counteract these effects as well. So that being said, make sure taking a lot of veggies with your proteins and you should be good. Now here's the thing, when you're older, you actually need more protein. So you should not be scared of a high protein diet now. Make sure that you are resistance training. If you're not involved in resistance training, this video is not for you. So make sure to give it a like. Thank you everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. Before I go, I wanna have a short shout out to Will. Okay, Will always takes care of me at one of my favorite restaurants in Makati. So, check him out. Will is a subscriber. He recognized me. Bihira naman yun, diba? Hindi naman malaki yung channel natin. But when I walked in, he was like, "Uy, TitoFit." So, shout out to Will. See you soon. Hopefully when dine-in is allowed again. And see you guys in the next one.